The morning sunlight crept slowly through the tall glass windows of Daniel Whitmore's penthouse, spilling gold over the polished marble floor. The city below was already alive, cars moving, people rushing, but the silence inside the home was heavy and unmoving, as if time had stopped years ago. Daniel sat at the edge of the sofa, a cup of untouched coffee cooling in his hand. His suit jacket hung over the backrest, and the top button of his shirt was undone. He looked every bit the powerful CEO, except for the hollowness in his eyes. 3 years had passed since his wife, Amelia, died. 3 years of pretending that work could fill the silence she left behind. He had built companies, expanded branches across continents, but he couldn't rebuild the warmth that used to live in this apartment. Her laughter had once filled every corner. Now only the ticking clock reminded him that life moved on, even when he didn't. He tried to avoid the library, her favorite room, but that morning, something pulled him there. Maybe it was exhaustion, maybe longing. The space was still exactly as she'd left it. Shelves full of her books, a half-burnt candle by the window, her reading glasses resting on a stack of novels. The faint scent of lavender clung to the air, her scent. Daniel's hand brushed over the spines of her books. Poetry, romance, a few old classics she had reread endlessly. She used to tease him, saying he'd never understand why she cried at fictional characters. He used to smile, saying he didn't need to. Now, standing there alone, he wished he had asked more questions. He reached for the Secret Garden, one of the books she'd loved most. The cover was worn and soft from her fingers. As he opened it, something slipped from between the pages, a folded piece of cream-colored stationery that fluttered to the floor. His brow furrowed as he bent to pick it up. He recognized her handwriting instantly. His heart gave a painful thud. The letter began simply, "Greater than, if you're reading this, Danny, it means I didn't get the chance to tell you everything. You always believed I was strong, but there were things I carried quietly. There's someone you need to find, someone I owe more than I ever repaid. Her name is Lena Brooks. She lives in Brookhaven, near the old church. She's a single mother. You'll understand when you meet her. Don't let grief close your heart to kindness. Please, for me, find her." Daniel read it twice, maybe 3 times. The handwriting wavered near the end, as if she had been crying. His throat tightened, and he had to set the letter down. Lena Brooks. He had never heard the name. Why had Amelia kept this secret from him? What debt had she felt she owed a woman he'd never met? He sat in silence for a long while, staring at the note. Outside, the city skyline gleamed in the sunlight, indifferent to his confusion. For years, he had lived surrounded by answers, numbers, contracts, decisions, but this was something no logic could explain. He could have easily asked his assistant to look into the name, but something in Amelia's words stopped him. Don't let grief close your heart. If she wanted him to find this woman himself, then he would. By late afternoon, Daniel was behind the wheel of his car, driving toward Brookhaven, a small, run-down neighborhood on the city's outskirts. He hadn't been there in years. The streets were narrower, cracked, lined with old houses and flickering streetlights. He slowed when he passed a white church with chipped paint and a rusted bell tower. The letter had said, "Near the old church." A few houses down, he saw a small blue home with flower pots on the porch and children's drawings taped to the windows. A woman stood outside, hanging laundry on a line while a little boy played. Beside her with a toy truck. Daniel pulled over, turned off the engine, and watched her for a moment. She couldn't have been much younger than Amelia had been when she passed. Her hair was tied up carelessly, strands falling around her face. She looked tired, but there was something steady in the way she moved, a quiet resilience that reminded him painfully of his wife. He stepped out of the car and crossed the street. Gravel crunched beneath his shoes. When the woman noticed him, she straightened, blinking uncertainly. "Excuse me," Daniel said, his tone soft but formal. "Are you Lena Brooks?" She hesitated, clearly wary of the well-dressed stranger in a neighborhood like hers. "Yes," she said slowly. "Can I help you?" He took a deep breath. "My name is Daniel Whitmore." For a moment, recognition flashed in her eyes, confusion, disbelief. The name was famous. Whitmore Industries was one of the largest corporations in the country. What on earth would a man like him want with her? I know this must sound strange, Daniel continued, pulling out the folded paper, but my wife, Amelia Whitmore, left me this letter before she passed. She mentioned you by name. Lena's hands froze in midair. Her face went pale. She mentioned me. He nodded and handed her the letter. Her fingers trembled slightly as she unfolded it. As she read, her lips parted, and her eyes filled with tears. When she finished, she pressed the paper to her chest. I can't believe she remembered. You knew her? Daniel asked quietly. Lena gave a shaky smile. Yes, a long time ago. I met her when I was 19. I was working the night shift at a diner near the hospital. She came in one night during a storm, drenched, exhausted. I thought she was just another tired nurse. We talked. She bought me dinner, even though she barely touched hers. I was struggling back then. My mom was sick, I was behind on tuition, and I didn't know how to keep going. She listened like she actually cared. Daniel's chest tightened as he listened. He could picture it perfectly. Amelia had always had that way. She could walk into a room and make people feel seen. I didn't find out who she really was until months later, Lena continued. She paid off the rest of my nursing tuition. Said it was a loan, but she never accepted $1 back. I sent her letters, but she never replied. I figured she'd forgotten about me. Daniel felt a heaviness settle in his chest, not of guilt, but of realization. His wife had touched more lives than he'd ever known. She'd carried kindness like it was oxygen, and he had never seen the full extent of it. I'm sorry you never heard back, he said softly. She got sick not long after that, and she kept most of her health struggles private. Lena looked down, tears glimmering in her lashes. She was an angel, she whispered. She gave me a future when I had nothing. Daniel glanced toward the small boy playing by the steps. Is that your son? She nodded, smiling faintly. Jacob. He's 5. Jacob ran up then, clutching a toy truck, his big brown eyes curious. Mommy, who's that? Lena knelt, brushing his hair back. This is Mr. Whitmore. He knew someone very special to us. The boy shyly waved, and Daniel, for the first time in years, smiled without forcing it. Hi, Jacob. Something shifted inside him, a warmth he hadn't felt since before Amelia's death. Standing there, surrounded by the quiet hum of a modest life his wealth could never buy, Daniel realized what Amelia had meant. Grief had made him forget what mattered. But through this woman, through her story, Amelia had reached him once more. And somehow, Daniel knew this meeting was just the beginning of something neither of them could yet understand.